Hey guys, I'm back here with another video. If you watched one of my latest videos, I showed you how my phone had a problem with the SIM card slot, and I had to use this one with the broken screen and swap the motherboard into this one to get it to work. Now I've gotten a replacement screen right here for this one, so I'll be taking this one apart completely and then replacing the screen with this one, and then I'll try one more time to solder the SIM card into this phone since it no longer has a SIM card slot. So we'll go ahead and get started here. Now to do this, everything you need is right here. Obviously you need your replacement screen. Be very careful with this. It's very thin, so yeah, be careful with this. It can break very easily, so set that aside and make sure. I like to keep it in here in this bubble wrap bag just to make sure it's a little bit more safe. To actually take the phone apart, I would suggest you get one of these. You can get these on Amazon. I'll have links in the description for where you can get one of these. And really the only bit that I see that you need is a 00 and a 0. So we use these, and if you have a magnet, I would suggest you use it, just because these screws are very small. So for example, let me use this 0 bit, and I have a magnet here from a hard drive. All you have to do to magnetize your screwdriver is rub the magnet on the bit. And now this should be magnetized. Just be careful with magnets like this. Make sure not to get them close to the phone because you can damage your electronics with a magnet as powerful as this one. Alright, I would suggest you get some tweezers, fine tweezers like these. I'll have a link in the description for these as well. And these tools, they typically come with a replacement screen, opening tools, a little suction thing. And these are typically cheap, but they do work. So if they come with your replacement screen, use these. If you don't have to buy this, then you don't have to buy that. Guitar picks, they usually come with these kits as well. So these are very useful for taking the screen off of your old phone before you put in the new one. So make sure you have some of those. Adhesive to actually put the new screen back on. Some screens will come with adhesive. If they don't, then I'll have a link in the description to where you can buy this adhesive. This is the best adhesive I've ever used. So yeah, it does take a long time to get here, but it works the best out of any adhesive I've ever used. So make sure you have that, and then once you've replaced the screen, I always suggest you use something like this. Tempered glass screen protector. That's what I currently have on this phone here, and you can't really even tell that it's on there. So if you need one of these, I'll have a link in the description as well to where you can purchase one of these. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started here. Clean this stuff up and start taking the phone apart. Alright, so first off, start with the SIM card. I'll show you how to take the whole thing apart if you didn't watch my other video. Start with the SIM card slot. This one doesn't have a SIM card anymore, or even a SIM card module in there anymore. So I don't have this in there. But go ahead, and if you bought a OnePlus One from their website, they should have given you one of these. Just use that, take your SIM card out, and set that aside in a safe spot. Make sure you don't let this tool fall in there, or you're gonna have a hard time, just like I did in my previous video. Anyways, to start taking this apart, use your fingernail and just run it right here on the SIM card slot. Now once you've got it in there, you should be able to just run your fingernail down the length of the phone. And you should hear everything unsnap as you're prying this apart. Now once you've got the corner out, everything gets a lot easier. Then you can just keep running your finger along the edge, or your fingernail along the edge, and everything should come unsnapped. So there's that. Now, as mentioned in my previous video, there's a bunch of screws here that you need to take out. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then there's 3 hidden ones. So there's 2 right here, 1 right there, and 2 down here that you also need to take out. So altogether that's 15 screws that you need to take out. To get these little rubber covers off, I suggest you use your tweezers, or you could use a needle if you don't have tweezers. And if I can show you here, you can just poke at them and they should come out like that. So take those little covers off and then just take out all the screws. Alright, now what I like to do is use packaging tape or any kind of tape and just cut a little bit off and set that down and put all the screws on there. All the same sized screws. Now there's 2 different size screws on the back cover here. These are all the exact same size. And then these rubber pads as well. And then just fold this over like this, so you can make a little bag to hold your screws. Now the 2 that are different here are the ones down here at the bottom in the middle, these 2. So those are still in there. I'll put those in their own separate bag. And then I just like to tape that to the case or to wherever they go, just so I remember where they go. So let's get these two taken out as well. Now this is where the magnetized tip comes in handy. These screws don't come out very easily unless you have a magnetized tip. You could also use a fridge magnet if you didn't have a big magnet like I do to get these two out. So there's those. And they all go to the case, so I'm putting them there. Now the next thing you need to do is lift up the battery. Now to do that, mine's going to be a little bit easier than most, but you could do this. Get one of these tools that comes with your kit and insert it here on this side where the OnePlus sign is. This is where all the adhesive is. And just gently pry it open, or pry the battery up and run this up like this. And you should have the battery look like this at the end. Make sure you don't lift it too much because there is a ribbon cable holding it down. Next, we'll want to remove this top cover. I would suggest you use your tweezers here. And right over here next to the SIM card slot, there's this little hole. I don't know if you can see it right there, right here. You can stick your needle nose tweezers in there and just lift this up. Once that's up, you should be able to just lift it off, set that aside. And then there's a bunch of ribbon cables right here that you need to unsnap, all of these right here. So we'll go ahead and do that here. Alright, now that you've got that done, you should be able to remove the battery. Set that aside. And then there's one screw on the motherboard here. Right down here. Right there on the corner. Just take that screw out. And make sure you keep that safe because it is a different size than the other ones. Now, before you lift up the motherboard, on the sides here, you have the power and the volume buttons. Now to get these off, the easiest way to do it is to get your tweezers and stick one end right here and just run it down like this, and it'll pop that off. Do the same thing on the other side. And now you should be okay to lift up the motherboard. Before you do that, there is one more ribbon cable here. So after you've done that, you can start lifting from this corner here, from the headphone jack, and everything should lift up. Now you can flip it over like this, and there's a little connector here for the antenna right down here at the bottom. So if you can see that, most of the time you can just use your fingernail and unsnap it, and now you have the motherboard free. Your motherboard might look a little bit different than mine because mine's missing the SIM card module here. But yeah, that's how you take that off. Set that aside. Make sure to keep that safe with the one screw. And then we'll start tearing everything out here because we need to get to the actual screen. Alright, now we'll go ahead and lift this up. The easiest way to take this off is to see the USB port back here and just lift it from the bottom towards the front. Now, once you've got that lifted up, you should see the speakers in there. Set that aside. Looks like there's a little piece of tape here that we can take off. And then we should be able to lift up the USB port back here. If you just lift it up with your finger, you should be able to gently remove it. So there's the USB port ribbon. Alright, next we have to remove all this stuff down here. So if you start lifting up this ribbon cable right here, now OnePlus One tried to trick you here by getting this cable that go in this little hidden hole. There really is nothing to it. If you just keep on popping up that ribbon cable, it should come out. There's just a little component in there. I'm not really sure what that's for, but just keep on prying it up and you'll get here. Now this is where you need to start using these plastic tools to start prying this out without ripping it off. So there's one side out. Alright, so we'll keep on lifting this. Make sure you get this little piece right here. Down here. Make sure you lift that up so it doesn't get ripped off. Now, if you just keep on prying up very slowly, you should get this loose. Now before you lift this, I suggest you go down here and you see this little gold connector here, make sure you take that off. Now you've got that off. And at this point I would suggest we get this cable out of the way as well. So this antenna cable, get this tape off, and then get the cable out of there. Next, we'll want to take off these pieces up here. So this is your, what is that? It's a sensor. You'll need to take this little piece out, this little silver piece out. It's this. My camera will focus. So get that out, set that aside, and then you should be able to gently pry this out from the sides. You can hear the tape in there ripping off, or the glue. Once you've got it, be very careful with that. That's your speaker. Alright, so that's about it. That's all the components that we have in here. The next thing is to actually remove the screen. So to do this, lift up this ribbon cable, and I have a hot air rework station here. If you don't have one of these, most people don't, then you can use a hair dryer as well. So to do this, we're going to heat up this side just a little bit, and this side the most. This can get hot and you can get burned, so be careful when you're doing this. So you just want to heat up the sides. This is typically where they put the most adhesive, on the sides. Now this broken screen doesn't really matter, so if you shatter it, then yeah, it doesn't matter, because you're going to replace it with a completely different one. It's most likely already shattered in the first place. This is just to melt the glue on the back of the assembly here. I like to hold it with my hand, just so when it gets uncomfortable, then I know it's heated up enough. You may not be able to do that with a hair dryer, because it's most likely a lot hotter than what I'm using here. But when it gets to the point where you just can't hold it with your hand for longer than a few seconds, you've pretty much got it as hot as you need to get it. So we'll try this and see if it's able to lift up now. Now I suggest you push right here on this ribbon cable. This ribbon cable doesn't matter because it's going to be included with the new screen. So if you push on that, you can get some leverage to get the screen up. And then once you've got that, you can stick your guitar pick in there and start prying things out. So yeah, push on this ribbon, and then once you have the screen lifted, then try and stick something in there to pry it out. Or you could also use this end and push on the camera holes like so, and then you can start getting chunks of glass off. Now when you get to this part, this chunk of glass that has your speaker grill, make sure you get that off because your replacement screen may not have it. And with parts that you're going to reuse, make sure you get all the little glass shards off of it. So there is the speaker grill. And then just keep on taking everything out here. Once you've got to this point, you can use your pliers, or I keep calling them pliers, sorry, your tweezers, and start lifting the screen up like this. Like I said, the screen's already broken, so it really doesn't matter. Just be careful with this because you can get little shards of glass in your eyes if you don't know what you're doing. But once you've got it there, as you can tell, you can just run this down the length of the phone and you should be able to take out most of it. So, there we go. We've got the shattered screen off. And there's going to be tons of little glass parts everywhere, so make sure to clean things up before you proceed with the replacement screen. So let me go ahead and get all this cleaned off and get all the glass off the case here, and I'll be right back. Now, all around the edge here, there's a bunch of adhesive on the edge. The easiest way to take it off is to use a small flathead screwdriver and just run it along the edge here, and that should take off most of it. Alright, so here's the frame, mostly cleaned up. Before I apply the new screen, I typically like to clean everything off. You need to make sure that all the adhesive is cleaned off. If you don't, or you leave any chunks of glass in there, you're most likely going to regret it, because when you put in the new screen, if there's any pressure points anywhere around the edge and you press the screen down, you'll instantly shatter it, and you'll you'll regret it. The screens for this phone aren't very cheap. They're usually around, I don't know, $80 to $100, so just be careful with that. To make sure everything is completely cleaned off, I like to use a couple of things. Either this stuff, which is awesome for removing anything glue related, Goo Gone. If you need some of this, I'll have a link in the description. Or if you don't have that, I'm pretty sure most people will have this, rubbing alcohol. You can use this as well. So let me wipe that down with some Goo Gone, and then we should be able to put the new screen back on. Make sure you use Q-tips so you don't get liquid everywhere. And when you use Goo Gone, make sure that you wipe everything off because it is a little oily. So after I use Goo Gone, I like to wipe everything off with rubbing alcohol as well to clean everything off. And rubbing alcohol typically just evaporates on its own, so you don't really have to worry about it. Alright, next we need to put the adhesive on. I'm not going to use this adhesive. You can if it comes with your screen, but I prefer to use this one. So this is what I'll be using for this phone and what I typically use for all the phones that I fix. With this, you have to be very careful and just get a strip, line it up, and just put it up right here. Make sure that's on there securely, and make sure you get enough on the top up here and the bottom as well. Alright, so here it is with adhesive on the sides and the top and the bottom. Make sure to avoid camera holes or LED holes. I put this back on as well with adhesive. This protects the screen. This little film protects the screen so it doesn't shatter or get discolored. Anyways, make sure these are on there tightly. If you have to, run your fingernail on them just to make sure they stuck there. Now, you only get one chance at this, so you need to be careful. You need to make sure you do this correct. First off, you'll want to line it up without taking the tape off, just so you can get a feel for what you're in for. Actually, I suggest you get this one, this bottom one in first, into this big hole. And then you go up here and you line this one up and you get that one in there. That way you can make sure that that one fits in there and that one fits in there well. Once you know what you're in for and how to line things up, then you can go ahead and remove this side of the adhesive. Take off all the waxy side so you can expose the sticky side. You'll also want to put the grill back on your screen with the little square side facing towards the LCD. And there we go. Now here's the difficult part. Remember, you only get one chance at this. So stick the long end in first and then wiggle the top ribbon cable in right there. Line up the top. Line up the top all the way to the edge. And then you should be able to drop the screen right in place. Then gently go on the edges here and press down on it. Make sure everything sticks. This is the part I was mentioning. If you missed any glass in there, you're going to end up shattering your screen right now. So make sure you clean everything off. And don't put too much pressure on the screen while you're doing this. Just enough to make it sure it sticks. And that's it. There we go. We've got a new assembly with the screen. And now we just need to put it all back together. So we'll start off with all these ribbon cables here. And the speaker. So the speaker, the letters should be upside down. And it should just fit in there perfectly. Now get this little silver piece that we took out earlier and pop it back in place here. There's the little silver or gray piece right there, flat side up. Next we'll want to put in the LEDs for the button. Want to stick this in first. There we go. That side right there, make sure you stick that in first, otherwise it's going to be a little bit more difficult. And then just tape or just snap everything back in place where it should go. Everything should go down smoothly. Now you'll want to get this cable that we took out earlier and thread it through here and get it connected. Now you should be able to hear that snap in place, and all of this should stay down if you've got everything in correctly. Just run your hand along the ribbon to make it stick. We'll get the USB ribbon, put that back in as well. That should stick there as well. And now we can use our tweezers here to push this antenna cable back in place, and then get the tape that was used to cover it up and put it back in place right there. You can see that cable is hidden now by that tape, and now we can put this other piece of tape back in place here. So there's both pieces of tape. And then this is where I'm gonna deviate a little bit from the standard tutorial. I'm gonna go ahead and solder a SIM card in here, because obviously it doesn't have a SIM card slot. So let me go get that and solder it, and then I'll continue as normal. Alright, so here we are. Here's my SIM card soldered onto the motherboard. And we'll go ahead and continue putting this back together. You'll want to plug in this wire. Doesn't matter if you rip it out or if you rip off some of that tape on the side. Use your tweezers and just put that back on the motherboard. And remember, that's on the underside where the SIM card goes. So once you've got that plugged in, you can go ahead. Let me zoom in here. You can go ahead and flip this over. Just make sure the wire goes back in that guide. Move all these ribbons out of the way, and the one back here as well. Now, the way this goes is this side with the SIM card slot needs to go in first. Yours should go in pretty smoothly. I might have to wiggle mine in there. Make sure things don't break. Alright, so right there, to make it fit, I had to break off this little plastic thing for the slot for the SIM card. But it should go in now. After you've got that, make sure you put the buttons back in. Actually, before you do that, just to make things a little safe, put the one screw back in place that holds the motherboard. So there's everything so far. Now we'll go ahead and plug in all these ribbon cables. Make sure the ribbons click in We'll go ahead and put the bottom in first. I'll put the back side in first, and just push it in and put all the screws back in. Remember, there was the two back here that were a different size than the other ones. Make sure to get the rubber pads back in there. Now we'll go ahead and put the battery back in. And connect the ribbon to it. After you've got that in, you can get this and pop it back in place. And then just put in all the rest of the screws. So here it is. Here's the old shattered screen, and we'll go ahead and turn it on. That seems to be okay. Alright, so here's the phone that we just worked on. This looks exactly the same as this one. This one here, it looks like the soldered SIM card worked as well, so that's a plus. But yeah, that's about it. If you found this video helpful or informative, please remember to like, comment, favorite, or share this video. And I would suggest that you subscribe to my channel as well if you're interested in videos such as this one for phones, computer repair, and console modification and repair. I would suggest you also check out my Twitter and my Facebook. My Twitter handle is @ModzLink, and my Facebook is www.facebook.com/page.modzlink. For consoles or anything that you can purchase from me, you can check out my website, www.modzlink.com. And yeah, as always, thanks for watching.